Well, hi, everybody. Welcome to Afterburner. I'm Bill Whittle. In the wake of the horrific terror attacks in Paris against a lone voice of freedom, the magazine Charlie Hebdo, which had the courage to stand up against the violence and intimidation of the religion of peace, world leaders stood together, arms locked in unity, with one notable exception, obviously, in defiance of what seemed to be a foreign element of barbarism in the cradle of European culture and tolerance. Only it's not a foreign element. It's fully domestic, it's homegrown, and it's home-fed. Now, the French word banlieue originally meant a suburb, sort of an autonomous district in a larger city, often Paris. Now, this in itself is not a bad thing. Obviously, my own hometown, which we generally refer to as Los Angeles, is made up of dozens of little banlieues: North Hollywood, Compton, Beverly Hills, Culver City, and many, many others. However, for many years now, the French word banlieue has come to have a second, more sinister meaning. More and more, banlieues refer to the ghettos, areas where first generations of Muslim immigrants settled, second generations felt alienated, and now third generations feel enraged. They've become no-go zones for white Frenchmen and French women, exclusively Muslim-run districts with their own laws, courts, customs, and so on. So, behold our glorious socialist multicultural future. A salad bowl, not a melting pot. A world where new cultures are not assimilated into French or English or German or Australian mainstream culture, because that would be a form of cultural imperialism, and that's bad. You know, asking people to adapt to the customs of the country that they flee to for their economic future or their very lives. No, these Muslim enclaves, these banlieues, are the end result of the salad bowl mentality, not the blending of flavors as new immigrants are assimilated into the larger culture, the melting pot ideal where each new metal slightly influences the greater alloy, but rather the salad bowl idea. You know, cultures of differing backgrounds living together cheek and jowl in perfect multicultural, multilingual rainbow of harmony. The people who were gunned down in the offices of Charlie Hebdo got a chance to experience this lovely celebration of diversity firsthand. Now, the French built this poisonous, furious, lawless, and barbaric subculture. They built it intentionally, although certainly not with the outcome they achieved in the editorial offices of a magazine that morning. The cheap labor needed by their socialist state in the years after World War II required large numbers of working immigrants, beginning with Algerians from their former colony in Africa. The French knew, and the immigrants quickly came to know, that no matter how long they lived there, these newcomers could never become truly French. Lecture us though they may, Frenchness is a racial, historical, and cultural idea that has millennia of ties to the beautiful soil of sacred France. So, if the French could never truly assimilate these people, they thought they'd do something even better, and that is buy them off. Huge social benefits were paid to the occupants of these banlieues. The ever more elderly French paying the children of the first generations of young workers they had imported to keep them passive and, frankly, making sure that they never had to work. Now, they did not see, because they did not want to see, that paying proud young men to do nothing but depend on the delicate pink hands of their French masters would not engender love or respect or even gratitude. Quite the reverse, in fact. No, these handouts and concessions emasculated these young men who could never become French, not truly French. And the palpable fear of these young immigrants on the part of the French government, not to mention the looks of concealed anxiety on the faces of the average French woman walking down the streets of Paris, emboldened them and gave them a sense of power and identity that they'd never had before. Riots in these banlieues, most recently in 2005, put them on the news for a while. What was not on the news were the statistics of what was happening when there were no riots. I remember a credible report from the mid-2000s saying that 90 cars per night were burned in France by these thugs and ruffians when there wasn't a riot going on. It's gotten nothing but worse, and it will get worse still, because there is your multiculti salad bowl. Or if you'd like, just look to Canada. Gentle, decent Canada, where every single official sentence is repeated twice, once in English and once in French. Or look to Canada. Gentle, decent Canada, where every single official sentence is repeated twice, once in English and once in French. It gets very tiresome after a while. It gets very tiresome after a while. You know, the reason I love this country so deeply is because up until very recently anyway, we haven't been France, we haven't been Britain, or Germany, or Spain, or Australia. Actually, a much better way to put it is, they haven't been us. They can't be us, because the United States of America is not a country. The United States of America is not territory on a map. It's not soil on the ground. The United States of America is an idea. And that's why so many of us simply tear up at the sight of people who come here from all over the world. You know, legal immigrants who, after filling out forms, waiting in line, and passing a test most native-born Americans could never pass, raise their hands, take an oath, and become just as American as the descendants of the people who stepped off of the Mayflower. Now, that moment, that act, is a beautiful, transcendentally human, generous, glorious thing. No longer Japanese or Malaysian or Scottish or Mexican or Nigerian or anything, but new people, Americans. The official motto of America, the founding idea in 3 words of a dead language brought back to life every day, is the Latin phrase e pluribus unum, out of many, one. Not separate, not apart, not living together as Japanese or Malaysians or Scots or Mexicans or Nigerians, but as Packer fans or Dodger fans or Gator fans, you know, Americans. That simple idea has been the secret of our success. But men like the current president, a student of Saul Alinsky and his tactics of division and destruction in order to gain political power, continues at every opportunity to divide rather than heal and unite. During his elections, we saw on his website pages like African Americans for Obama and LGBTs for Obama and women for Obama and Hispanics for Obama. And now every day, this man and his philosophy of division and envy and resentment and entitlement create ever more toxic American banlieues. And we see the price that we pay for that, and that price is going to grow higher even long after he's left office, until we have the generosity and decency and courage to understand that we alone, with our simple little melting pot, have solved the eternal problem of people of differing backgrounds living together as one. Now, for example, I myself personally have several friends, otherwise perfectly nice and decent people, who are Florida State Seminole fans. Mon Dieu, the things that I have to tolerate in this country.